Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers,
Hello and welcome to episode 277 of the AFTN podcast. I'm Joe DC and I have World Cup fever. I'm joined by Nicholas Ruprecht. Favorite game of the World Cup, Nicholas?
Portugal, Spain, 3-3.
Classic.
Yeah.
On the phone from Surrey, it's Gideon Hill. Gideon, what was your favorite game?
Oh yeah, I agree with Nick. Portugal, Spain, one of the best games I've ever watched.
No diversity of opinion here. My favorite game was Argentina
Actually,
1.
okay. You know what, Joe? If you're gonna say that, I'll go with Mexico, Germany. I quite enjoyed that one.
That was going to be my
Sunday.
second. Mine is Argentina, Iceland. Just a
Okay.
fun game. Fun game to watch.
The underdog.
The underdog. Always love an underdog. We have an opening question, and this week it's from Twitter. It's from Ryan McLeod. He said, if we could assign each member of the AFTN team to be, he said, a football playing country, but let's go World Cup country. Who would it be? Let's start with the head honcho, Michael McCall.
Mm-hmm.
Characteristics of Michael: he's light-hearted, not afraid to get real.
Iceland?
Iceland, yeah.
That's a real team.
All about results.
All about results.
All right, Zachary Meisenhower. He's Germany. There's no getting around.
Dominant force
it. Yeah, exactly.
in the world of football.
Steve Pander. Gideon, you want to take this one?
He's the toughest one to do there, Joe. I don't know. I think Steve knows his stuff, and I'm gonna have to say Costa Rica because he works behind the scenes, but he gets a lot done, and I appreciate that. So I'd say Steve would be Costa Rica.
And that was the tough one. We have to assign countries to ourselves. I'll take Peru. I'll just take it right now. Nick, let's see. Nick, he's not afraid to go on the offensive, even if it doesn't mean he gets good results. Panama. No, they didn't really attack.
They didn't really attack.
Yeah.
How many?
For reference, we're recording this on Tuesday, June 19th, so we haven't seen any games after that.
Yeah.
Russia. Nick's Russia.
Russia? Yeah, they're home in front of a home country.
Yeah. 8-1 aggregate win so far.
Yeah.
And finally, Gideon. Italy.
You guys are jerks.
Hey, we don't do this podcast to make friends. That's not actually true. But anyway, we'll ponder on Gideon for now, I think. Yeah, that'll take place of our opening question. It's been so long since the last Whitecaps games that we won't even complete the sentences this time. But instead, I have an early game. This isn't this week's Do You Know Who I Am? It's a different game. I have 4 questions about the World Cup.
Uh-oh.
But in classic fashion, they're each going to have an MLS twist.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Who can tell me which World Cup final, or which World Cup was the last World Cup that no player who played in the MLS has won the World Cup? So, like, a winner of the World Cup at some point in his career did play in the MLS. Which was the last World Cup? Gideon, what do you think?
To win the World Cup.
So it'll be like a year. So if you don't think someone won it in 2002 who at some point played in the World Cup, that would be your answer.
I'm going to say, just guess, 1998.
Okay. Nick?
Yeah, I was going to go with 98 too.
It's actually 86. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, and there's more on that later. Which MLS player is tied for 6th most international appearances among active players? A hint: he's not at the World Cup. He has 100.
Dempsey?
He has 146 international appearances.
Wow.
Yeah. He plays for Dallas.
Minor Figueroa.
It's Minor Figueroa.
Interesting.
How many MLS players are at the World Cup?
Probably 12,
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Gideon?
I think it's 11.
It's 19.
Ooh.
Wow.
Underrating.
How many MLS players' teams won their opening game? So how many actual players?
Hmm.
Are we counting Laurent Simon?
No, he's not at the World
He's
Cup.
not at the World Cup. He's on that.
Yeah,
He got sent home because of 2 injured players in front of him.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a separate issue.
Well, I know Panama didn't win in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Costa Rica had like 7 of those
Yeah.
19 players.
Yeah.
The answer, do you
I'm
guys
gonna
want the
say
answer?
0.
0, Nick?
I'm trying to think. What team? Yeah, I'm not too sure.
The answer is 4.
Really?
3 Mexicans and 1 Swedish
Oh, yeah,
person.
Mexicans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Svensson, his team won as well. Yeah, that was a little bit of World Cup flavor to start off the AFTN preview podcast. Now the World Cup's fine, but MLS is where it's all at, right, guys?
Exactly.
Yes.
Three games a
Homers.
day. 3 games a day for 2 weeks isn't quite enough for us. We need that 2:00 kickoff on that Saturday, where the Whitecaps will take on Philadelphia. So let's get our MLS goggles on. Philadelphia. Boring jersey. I'm going to start off the discussion with that.
Good fans.
Good fans. Yeah.
Doop, doop, doop.
Exactly.
Is that the song they sing?
The Duke
Yeah.
goal song, yeah.
Really
I
annoying.
remember there was a 3-3 a few years ago or something, and I'm just sick of hearing that goal song. I think it was them as well. Yeah, or was it Kansas City? I can't remember. But Philly are 8th in their conference. They're on 18 points. They're only 1 point below the playoff line. 3 points ahead of Montreal and Toronto, which is quite pleasing. There are 5 wins, 7 losses, and 3 ties. Not the best season, but that's not what really it's around where I expect them to see. Expect to see them.
But they're also playing a lot of their younger players.
Yes, absolutely.
So-
Gideon, what do you think of Philly so far? What have you seen of them?
Joe, I think you touched on it. They're playing their younger guys, as Nick said, and they are where they're supposed to be. I think they didn't add a whole lot in the offseason besides Dotchcal. I think they're a solid team. They've kept over a lot of players and a lot of younger players as well that they've drafted and kind of integrated smartly into their system, and I think that's why they're finding success this year.
Nick, do you think that fans are willing to be more patient if you play young players?
Yeah, I think so. I think Philadelphia. I mean, you shouldn't discount that they've also recently went to the Open Cup final as well.
They lost to Kansas?
I think so.
Okay.
I'd have to double check, but they've been to the Open Cup, in the last couple of years as well. So it's not like there's lack of opportunities to win trophies there.
Yeah.
So
their last game was a 2-0 loss to Toronto. I actually did watch this game. Osorio got a pair. Toronto in their current form, you don't expect them. Teams are getting results against Toronto. So that was not a good result for Jim Curtin and his men. Playing a 4-2-3-1, they acquired David Accam in the offseason. I've always liked David Accam.
but he's been not too great this year.
No, he's been on the bench or playing centrally when he does play. That was a surprising trade in the offseason. I forget what the ins and outs of it were, but Gideon, a player like Accam moving within the league is always pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he never really found his mesh in Chicago with the Fire, but
He had one good season.
Yeah, he didn't really fit in that well, and I mean, it's a good trade for Philadelphia to pick up. Don't get me wrong, Accam's a wonderful player, but I think he should be starting, in my opinion. Yeah, there's players ahead of him like Pico that have kind of pushed him out of lineup, but if he's a DP, I believe he is right now, he should be starting and getting minutes.
Okay. I'm just looking at their defensive line, and it actually looks quite solid. Rosenberry, Elliott, Trusty, and Gaddis. I'm a big fan of Elliott. He's a really interesting story. I was doing a piece earlier, I think last season, on the MLS Super Draft, and he was a 3rd round or 4th round pick. And the 3rd round and 4th round only came into effect a few years ago. There used to only be 2 rounds of the MLS draft. And now he's a starter in an MLS team. If you don't remember exactly who he is, he's the tallest and lankiest defender in the whole league. He's very young because he just got drafted, I think, 2 years ago. He's the Per Mertesacker of the league, Nick. But he's very good positionally, and obviously on set pieces, defending good as well. Any thoughts on that back line, Gideon?
You just mentioned Trusty, Rosenberry, and Elliott. 3 very, very young players, but 3 very good players. And I think Gaddis, the left back and right back, can play both other side. But I think he's kind of molded them together, and he's brought that experience to make that back line good. Because, obviously younger players, 3 younger players in a 4-man back line doesn't really scream success to you. But I think Gaddis has found the perfect togetherness of those guys playing well and finding wins in that back line.
Anchoring the midfield, Nick, Alejandro Bedoya.
Yeah, I mean, U.S. men team player. I don't know if he is necessarily, they're playing him where he could be the best, because he's also played as a winger.
Yeah, but he plays as one of the 2 holding defensive midfield players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if, maybe in my opinion, he could be played a little bit higher up the field.
Yeah, he played right wing before in his career.
Yeah.
But if you need someone to fill that gap, someone experienced like him would be a great option, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Just looking at his stats, he's having a pretty good season. He's a goal. It's not bad. Looking through this team, there is not like a go-to goal guy. They have Sapong up front.
He's a good workhorse.
He's a very like productive
forward and does the dirty work
and closes down and does all that kind of thing. Gideon, what should we watch out for as far as defending? We won't have Waston, so we should definitely pay more attention to that. Yes.
Yeah, and I think all things go through Gideon and Bedoya in the midfield. So I think that's where the Whitecaps need to not give any time. And I think it's going to be a tough matchup for presumably Henry and Aha, based on the last game against Orlando, with that physical matchup with Sapong, who is good not only in the air but on his feet as well. Has scored a couple goals just outside the box recently. So I think he's a good player, and this is a combined Union attack, not just one singular player.
The weekly key pass watch, the now patented AFTN key pass watch. It's a Dakal that has 2.4 key passes a game.
Wow.
So he would probably play in that number 10 position behind Sapong. So correct me if I'm wrong, but my impression on Sapong is he's fast. If he plays on the break, he can get behind. If a through ball is played properly to him, he'll burn you for pace. But that won't be to his advantage against a team like the Whitecaps, right, Nick?
Well, yeah, I think the back line has shown that it's pretty speedy.
Yeah, but you don't expect us to press high,
yeah,
do you?
Exactly. Yeah. I don't expect this, especially for a game on the road, to press necessarily as high, unless we're looking for a goal. But yeah, I don't. But then CJ Sapong is so good at checking back, turning to win the ball, and playing to his feet, that I don't think it's necessarily a choice of he's a pacey guy. It's more of a choice of he's a very good all-round center forward person, that it's kind of more like a pick your poison. What do you want to limit him to do? Because he can do it all.
Yeah.
So I think he's really, underrated.
Yeah. He's having an okay season. He's at 2 goals and 1 assist. I think a few weeks ago we were bemoaning the Whitecaps having a lack of like a go-to goal-scoring guy when like a couple of players were on 3 goals. Philly have 2 players on 3 goals, and that's the highest in their whole team. Atakal is actually leading their charts with 3 goals and 3 assists. But Gideon, I think you mentioned earlier that it's more of a rounded attack that we have to worry about. Do you think that their formation is like the best formation for them? They don't seem to have any very strong central midfield like strength, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I think that Dakal, Bedoya, and Gideon pairing that we kind of just talked about in the diamond, the 4-2-3-1, I think is where they get most of their creativity from. There's not a whole lot up front with Sapong, kind of the ball at the feet, spreading things out wide, so that's why I think they have success in that midfield. But yeah, you're right, it's two guys with 3 goals doesn't really jump out at you as a team that's going to get you done with one player. So I think that's the interesting part. The Whitecaps are going to have to kind of defend a multi-dimensional attack, which is something they're really not used to doing.
And the Philly recently lost Sebastian Letou to retirement.
Mm-hmm. Former Whitecap.
Yeah, great pro. Like I loved it when he played for the Whitecaps. And he's an experienced MLS player as well. Been around with a few teams. Yeah, like
he's being honored on Saturday, I think, too.
At the Whitecaps game?
No, at the Whitecaps game.
Oh, wow.
They're having his retirement ceremony or something.
That's well deserved.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he scored against the Whitecaps a few seasons ago when he played for Philly. Who was that target man that used to play for Philly that everyone loved?
The bald-headed man?
Yeah. Ooh.
You really liked him.
I really, really wanted the Whitecaps
He
to
used
get
to
him.
play for Colorado, I think.
Yeah. And he helped Gideon with this?
Connor Casey?
Connor Casey!
Yeah, there you go.
Legend. If he's retired, bring him out of retirement, because I'd have him above Kamara. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's based on looks, purely. The bald-headed look.
Yeah. Ooh, they have Jay Simpson on their book. Formerly of Cardiff or something. Anyway, yeah, I can't really think of much else to say about Philly. This is a game I think the Whitecaps should be winning. But, a win for Philly shoots them right up the table. They could go to 6th within 2 points of the Revolution if they do win. Final thoughts on how Philly you think they'll set up, what we can expect, Nick?
Well, I think it's more... It's not so much how they... I think what you need to look for is not so much how they will set up, but look for those individual errors from their inexperienced back line. The Whitecaps are not... they got pace and they got trickery now, it seems, as well. So
yeah,
look for any individual errors to be capitalized on.
We didn't really talk about Rosenberry, who's one of the most... He's more reliable on that spectrum.
I feel like he's been not having a great season this year, though.
Okay.
Because last year I felt he was getting up higher up the pitch.
Yeah, that's true.
Getting more involved. And I think this season he's not doing so much.
Okay.
Not doing that so much.
Okay.
So...
Gideon, final thoughts on Philly?
Interesting team for sure. I think, as I mentioned, their back line is better than expected for a young group of players.
And Andre Blake in goal, too.
Yeah, so we didn't even mention Andre Blake, who's one of the better keepers in MLS
Absolutely.
right now.
The David De Gea of MLS.
I wouldn't go that far.
Hey, maybe he'll make a mistake like De Gea did in this game on Saturday. Burn. Manchester United burn. Continue.
Yeah, no, and I'm excited for this game. Whitecaps have had success in Philadelphia in recent years, so always a fun place to play, an environment, and I think it's going to be a good game.
Mm-hmm. 2 things that I just thought of while you were talking, Gideon. Your voice just, makes me think of stats in my head. The Whitecaps have won the Whitecaps have won the World Cup player game against Philly already, because we have 1 player at the World Cup, and they have none. The second thing is, I would say that Philly are 6s and 7s, but according to WhoScored.com, every single Philly player is a 6. No one is a 7, which is quite impressive if you stop and think about it. Anyway, that brings us to the best part of the show. It's this week's Do You Know Who I Am? Okay, gentlemen, World Cup twist with Do You Know Who I Am? It's not 1 player, it's 11 players.
Oh boy.
So, I have in front of me a timer. The timer will beep every 10 seconds, and you will take it in turns to tell me all 11 players who have played in the MLS who have also won the World Cup. If you run out of players, the opposition has a chance to intercept. And if they intercept, let's say twice, then you lose. Okay?
Oh,
we will start with... We'll give Nick the start. So, okay, ready? When I say go, and you'll hear a beep when you know it's... Wait for the beep for the next person, and let's go. Go ahead.
Okay. Thierry Henry?
Correct. Gideon, you have 5 seconds to think of your next answer. You'll hear a beep.
Carlos Valderrama?
No, actually. He's not on my list.
Bastian Schweinsteiger.
Bastian Schweinsteiger. One interception for Nick. We'll go 2-0 to Nick. Go ahead, Gideon.
Aleko Eskandarian?
No. Whoa. Who did he play for? Anyway, go ahead, Nick.
Lothar Matthäus?
Yes. 3-0 for Nick. Gideon, go ahead.
Would Pele be considered part of?
No, that was NASL. Come on,
He's going
man.
way back.
I don't know.
That's Division
way
3
back.
American soccer. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh.
You have 7 seconds.
Come on. What's his name?
Time up. Go, Gideon. 3-0 to Nick so far. There's so many. Come on.
Totally blanking. Shoot.
Okay, Nick.
Pirlo?
Pirlo, 4-0.
Wow. Yeah.
Gideon, you have 15 seconds.
David Villa.
David Villa, 4-1. Nick. 5 seconds. Gideon.
Juninho.
No. Nick, you have 15 seconds. I believe it's 4-1.
No, he never won the World Cup.
There's several more.
Yeah. They're probably
All right, Gideon.
guys.
Shoot. Kaká.
Yes, 4-2. Nick. That was Gideon's end.
Yeah.
Okay, if both of you can't get one, we'll call it there. It's 4-2. Gideon.
No idea.
Okay, we'll call it there. 4-2 to Nick. So, not bad. You guys got most of them. So, I'll go from the beginning. And this will answer the question earlier about the World Cup winner, the last year that there wasn't a World Cup winner. So, Lothar Matthäus, 1990. Branco, who played for Italy in 1994. I have no idea. Yuri Djorkaeff. Pronouncing that wrong. Thierry Henry. So there's 3 from 2002. Danielson, Kleberson, and Kaká. Alexandro Nesta.
Oh, yeah.
For Montreal.
Yeah.
Andrea Pirlo, David Villa, and Bastian Schweinsteiger. 4-2 to Nick.
I'll take it.
Now, Gideon,
Well done, Nick. Well done.
give me an unbiased answer, Gideon. Do we add the 4 to the score from
No.
the Do You Know Who I Am, or is
No.
this a 1-0?
No, just so one. It's not very generous over here.
Thanks for your unbiased opinion. Okay, now let's. Actually, we have to finish up the Do You Know Who I Am, or else technically the Do You Know Who I Am will never end. So that was this week's Do You Know Who I Am.
Hi, I'm Carl Robinson. You're listening to the AFTN podcast.
Very good. I had fun. I hope you guys had fun.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Some of those I would not have gotten. For sure.
Yeah, Branco. I never heard of Branco before. That was quite interesting. I'll try and do less intensive World Cup games next week's
So intense.
Yeah. My heart rate is still going. We have had a question that's going to lead us into the Whitecaps discussion. Caleb Wilkins asked, would Whitecaps beat Saudi Arabia, Gideon?
Yes, I
Nick?
full-fledgedly think so.
I would agree with that statement.
Yeah, I think
so.
most MLS goalies were better than that Saudi goalie in that first Russian game. Bearing in mind, we have not seen Saudi Arabia's second game yet.
This is true.
They play tomorrow morning in our universe, so maybe they're going to beat Uruguay? No, they're not going to beat.
I don't think so.
I don't think they're going to beat
It
Uruguay.
would be amazing if they did.
It would be nice.
One of the many upsets that have happened.
Just to bring you guys back, 5-2 against Orlando.
Yeah, that was a good game, and Davies just exploded.
Yeah, Alphonso Davies created all kinds of trouble on the counterattack. Gideon, is it all good vibes around the Whitecaps now?
I think after that game, you have to feel like this team is taking a turn. Beating Colorado away, they were bottomer of the table. Big 2-1 road win. Then at home, being up, and then kind of having the red card in the grand scheme of things. I think for them, 5-2 was a huge victory. Alphonso Davies kind of I think now he's going to start progressing into more of a attacking, getting goals and assist player rather than either coming off the bench or starting a game and not really having the full effect that we'd like to see out of him.
Nick, do you think it was more Orlando imploding or just Davies taking the game by the scruff of the neck?
Well, even before they imploded, Davies had already had that fantastic pass.
Oh, when he turned Will Johnson inside out. That's my highlight of the season so far, I think. Just because of my personal hatred for Will Johnson. But that was amazing. Like, he was playing great.
But he was keeping he's just able to, now it seems hopefully this is something that he can consistently do. But when he's on the run, he takes a glance and was able to see where people were moving and anticipate that movement, and then send in the needed ball.
Yeah. So his decision making, Gideon, has been a lot. We've seen it progress this season. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. Leaps and bounds night and day from last year, I believe.
Do you guys have the sense that there's other parts of the field that have been unlocked also? Like, I know Davies is stealing the show, but what I'm actually thinking of is Reyna in that number 10 position, right?
Reyna has been fantastic because he gives that. Before Reyna it was just let's give it to Davies or just hoof it up the field, hope something happens. But now you also have Reyna, and he's combining quite well with Davies and
Teixeira.
Exactly.
And Gideon, Teixeira is the other player that I was thinking of who has just hit a purple patch, right?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, the player's not going to have a fantastic season. There's going to be ups and downs, and I think right now it just needs a little bit of a kick in the rear, maybe get Davies ball out wide to him, start a game and score a goal. I think Teixeira could definitely start this weekend, so I think for him it's huge to get out of this purple patch he's in and try and find something.
But Teixeira is tied for the most goals, I think, right now. With he is with Kamara. They're both on 6 goals. I know he scored 4 in the last 2, but like he's really turned a corner. He was one of the players I was looking at the start of the season, just wondering how on earth, like how was he still playing? Like when he took his shirt off was the accumulation of all that kind of feeling.
But doesn't he? But maybe correct me if I'm wrong. But I always get the feeling that he starts the season kind of slow or sluggish.
I haven't noticed anything. I know at the end of season he seems to come into it a bit more, but I don't know if he actually starts slow. But I think a big credit to Carl Robinson, the 4-4-2. It's really working.
Getting it wide faster.
Yes, and getting Reyna on the ball behind Kamara. I'll be honest, my concern was taking a midfielder out of that central position, but it seems to be going okay.
Yeah, I mean, Felipe seems to be able to cover the ground necessary.
And if it's Gazal beside him, do you think?
Usually. Yeah, I think that would be a good choice. He's more holding, and Felipe can get forward maybe a little bit more, pick out a nice pass for a winger. And
Gideon, you're liking the back line even without Waston?
Yeah, I think nothing to complain about last game, Henry. I just think he's performed well, and besides, I don't know, it was an easy player to adapt to as well. We've seen Mond and Watson find success against him beside him this year, so I think it's just credit to both guys. And
I really liked Henry when he played.
Yeah,
honestly, I was so impressed with him. Yeah, because we heard a lot of bad things. Yeah, and he played like with the skill level of a former West Ham player. and De Jong at left back was fantastic too. His crossing has gotten. I don't want to say has gotten better, but his crosses are connecting now. That could be with because of the people in the box doing a bit better. I do think there's another gear to come from Kamara though. That's my opinion. I don't know about what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree with that.
I could see that, but then at the same time, based on his
5.5 aerial duels again.
Yeah. I mean, it really depends on if the Whitecaps can get into that position to throw in crosses.
Yeah.
But then, if Davies having a lot of success driving towards the box and picking out a pass, you might see less of that, right?
But I think, Nick, you mentioned earlier it's unlocking the wing, right? It's the dynamics of unlocking the wing, less so the tactics and more like the
especially
dynamics.
especially if we're going to be playing away from home, going to be playing on the counter most likely. And Philadelphia does, like to use their fullbacks. So there might be some space behind them.
Yeah, it'll be Davies against Rosenberry, actually.
Yeah.
Which would be a good matchup.
Yeah.
Ooh, tantalizing.
Yeah.
Youth matchup there.
Yeah. And Gideon Nerwinski got the start last game. I thought he played fantastically. Do you think you see him going forward? I know you're a fan of Franklin, and you were advocating him to get minutes earlier in the season. But who do you think for this game?
I think you got to play the hot hand per se, hot foot if you will. But I think there's no reason to take Nerwinski out. Franklin has been good filling in, but it's Nerwinski's spot to lose coming in from last year, and I think he's had a little bit of rough patches, but I think he's there to stay for the summer.
Mm-hmm. Any concern on our set pieces and things like that? Like, we kind of went through a good spell
during the draw
but
phase.
I guess we're a counter-attacking team now, right?
Well, I think it's a little bit of getting in good positions, one, and I think we're the bread and butter of this team is always counterattacking. And I think the set piece plays can help us add a little bit more to get us over that playoff line. Getting a couple goals where, maybe the counterattack isn't working, right?
Well.
So I don't think it's necessarily that we're not a set piece team. It's just maybe, I think it's a little bit of combination of, like you said previously, the delivery is a little bit worse. Other teams probably know a little bit of the routines that we like to play. So, I mean, if you think back to the set-piece goals, one of the set-piece goals was Waston to a pass to Waston, and then a pass to Aha, which is like, well, who would have seen that coming? So it's a little bit of a surprise factor.
We were in the stadium for that, and we didn't really know what was going on.
But I think that's what we need to see maybe a little bit more of.
Inventiveness
into the rotating it through, not just doing the
same old thing.
Let's go to Kamara. Let's go to whoever.
Gideon, the Whitecaps put out this graphic earlier today. It's a really cool graphic, but the information on it is just as impressive. In the last 7 weeks, the Caps have made 95 chances, which is the most in the MLS.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's surprising.
Yeah, Gideon, sum it up for people. What's going on?
I think smart players playing in the right positions and putting themselves in places where they're going to find success, and I think that's full credit to Robbo. I think it just starts in the midfield. Felipe, even if Waston is in the lineup, he's distributing balls forward up the pitch, and I think that's where we kind of break out. And I think it's just every player on the team is playing defensively smart and offensively smart. And
Nick, we have to give Robbo some credit about this.
Right? Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we didn't really think that the 4-4-2 would necessarily, or 4-4-1-1 would necessarily work as well as it has. But we're basically just either bypassing the midfield completely, which is fine because our wingers are our strengths, or when it's in the midfield, we're moving it quickly through that center third of the pitch. Yeah.
Gideon, is the most pressing issue Robbo's mustache in the TSN studios?
Ooh, you know what? It was probably the most questionable facial hair of all 4 panel guests this past weekend. So I think the most interesting part that I garnered, I tweeted about it, but him beside Howard Webb, it was really fun to watch because whenever Howard Webb would say something, Robbo would kind of react with his face, he would make a little remark or whatever. It was hilarious to watch because those two talk often about poor decisions in MLS.
Yeah, they must know each other. And I know Robbo said he spoke to Howard Webb after the whole Atlanta thing. Yeah, I think Robbo did himself a lot of credit by going into that all UK studio in Canada, which is hilarious.
They're gonna offer the tough questions.
Yeah, he did some good analysis, and he wasn't afraid to disagree with people, which is nice to see, right?
Yeah, no, it's good to have civil disagreement.
Yeah, and we also know which day the Whitecaps had off now because he was in the studio for 3 or 4 days. It's not bad. Yeah, it's a good. Let's move away from the Whitecaps for a bit. A good panel for the World Cup, right?
Yeah.
It's Caldwell, Christian Jack, and Luke Wellman. Yeah, they're very nice. But Massimo Cassano on Twitter did point out, when are we going to hear a Canadian voice in the studio? It's just 3 or 4 British people just chatting away on Canadian television.
Hashtag bring back DeVos.
DeVos,
yeah, that's my. Oh man, I have a tattoo about that. Terry Dunfield too. I heard him on the radio. He was really, really good. I think he does the radio commentary, like the halftime show
With Wheeler, yeah.
with what's it again? 1040 TSN 1040. Yeah, I'm loving the World Cup. I don't know about you guys. Just so much football every day, and my baby's due any week now, so it's just even more tense.
It's like Christmas for Joe in June.
Yeah.
Pretty much. All I'm hoping for is
a month.
I'm really hoping that the baby comes early and I can get paternity leave for the rest of the World Cup. That honestly, that would be my dream right now. I'm very excited to meet my son, like, of course, but
Because you'll have so much time to watch the World Cup with a child.
hey, I'll be awake. I'll be awake at all hours. I'll be awake at like every hour of the night. Anyway, tweet your name suggestions to my Twitter. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, all right. On the Whitecaps,
Are you gonna name him like
next White
something Eno?
next Whitecap to score a goal is the. It better not be an own goal by. It better not be an own goal by Rosenberry. Keegan DC doesn't sound too good. Okay, closing thoughts on the Whitecaps. I'm pretty optimistic for this game.
Winnable game. They just have to go out there
And
grind it out.
big implications in the standings too, Gideon.
Yeah, Whitecaps get a chance to move up as well after those 2 wins against Orlando and Colorado. And I think with Philadelphia's positioning right now, Nick said very well, winnable game. Mentioned earlier in the podcast that they have success in Philadelphia before, and I think it's going to be a fun game to watch, as I said.
Yeah. After all the games in hand are caught up, the Caps could well be in 8th position. 7th or 8th, I think, is more reasonable. So we really need to have some good results to kind of buffer.
Yeah.
And I think it won't be a while until those games in hand are caught up with either. So
Yeah.
we need to
But,
really get some results.
What is it? Unbeaten in 6 games? We're not necessarily totally dropping points or games.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, this tactical switch has worked really well.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we can ride that train through the summer. Because especially sometimes the Whitecaps have struggled historically during the summer.
Definitely. End of summer is a terrible time for the Whitecaps if you look in past seasons.
Yeah.
Even that season where the Caps looked like they would win the Supporters' Shield, they dropped off in the summer, right?
2015, yeah, that was such an interesting year. It played well.
And then couldn't buy a win in August.
Top, and then August and September hit, and it just went downhill.
Yeah. Okay. I just changed my MLS table to points per game, and the Caps are just under the playoff lane. So we got to get that average up, because points per game is all that matters.
Really? Yeah.
Just kidding. All right. Now we go to the last part of the show. It's the prediction game. We have not had time to compile our predictions from 3 weeks ago when we did this show last. I don't even remember what game it was, to be honest. It was a while back.
It was not the Orlando game, that's for sure.
No.
I don't think anybody would have guessed 3
Gideon
assists.
did make a point on Twitter that he's glad we didn't predict anything for the Orlando game, because no way would we have predicted 3 or 4 assists for Davies, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, ridiculous. So let's make a batch of fresh predictions, and we will evaluate them next week along with when I find my notebook of the week before. So, Nick, give us some predictions.
I think Kamara will score a goal.
Okay. You want the 7th of the season, you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I think he's motivated. He's the striker.
Yeah.
He's got to be leading our
Penalty or
goal
not
scoring.
penalty, though? That's the question.
Penalty or no penalty?
Well, just say it's a goal.
Okay.
Just say it's a goal.
Hey, Nick is all about points on the board. Gideon, right?
I think
True.
I think as well the Caps will have 6 corners
6 corners.
in the game.
I should probably be writing these down, shouldn't I? I'll listen back. It's okay.
And then just listen to us as
Yeah.
you can. And then I think as well, Gazal will have 5 tackles.
Okay. Gideon.
I think Davies will have an assist.
Alrighty.
I think a Whitecaps goalkeeper, either Rowe or Mrnjavec, because we're not sure who's going to start, will make 4 saves. And the Whitecaps will hold, let's say, 40 to 43% possession.
Okay. I'm going to go with Gaddis yellow card, the left back. Davies assist. no limit on the number of assists. And let's go with yellow card for Jose Aja. Okay. All right. Any closing thoughts? We didn't really go through the lineup for the Caps, but I think just keep it as similar to the last game as possible.
Yeah, for sure. The only thing that I think you mentioned, actually, that's worth talking about in a sense is Rowe has been doing quite well.
I think if Marinovic is fit, you put him back in.
You think so?
Yeah. Gideon, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. As long as we have Davies on the field in our lineup, I think we don't really need to go
It's also a good game to get him back, you know? It's a good time.
Game.
Like, the next game is Colorado at home, and then it's Chicago. Maybe the Colorado game would be good.
Yeah, Colorado game would be good.
But that's a game you have to win. But then it's a goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be okay with either, I guess, at the end of the day. Yeah. Alrighty, let's see where we can, how people can find you on Twitter, Nick.
At SpaceAgeRobot56.
Gideon?
At _Gideon Hell on Twitter.
And you can find me at Joe DC Van. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for listening. It is Whitecaps residency week on AFTN, so please tune in for all that coverage. Michael does a really good job getting into the future stars of the Whitecaps.
Mm-hmm.
The next Alphonso Davies. The next... Oh, crap. I'm just kidding. That was just a little joke. No, like the Whitecaps Academy is very important, and they don't get a lot of coverage in mainstream media, but AFTN are out there making sure that these guys get a glance, and with CPL in the future, we could be seeing
More
these guys.
glances.
Absolutely. More glances, the better. All right. Thank you very much for listening to episode 277 of the AFTN podcast. Enjoy the game.
One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
10 minutes left. Yeah,